Hey everyone, Austin here, and it wouldn't be a proper YouTube video if I didn't start by asking what's up. Anyways, I'm in my kitchen right now. I've got my graphics behind me, and the reason I'm in here is because if you've seen my garage, it's not that big. There's not really a lot of space to do something like this. So, I have my island all cleared off, I've got an outlet for the heat gun, and I've got lots of space that's all clean and ready to go to work on this. Now disclaimer, if you're looking for a graphics install video, this isn't it. You're gonna have to probably look for a better video for that. But for this, I just figured I've never done a graphics video of my own. I've got new graphics, new plastics to work with, everything like that. So you really can't ask for a much better situation when it comes to a graphics install. And I figured I'd just show you how I do it, how I make it fast and easy, and it's probably not the proper way, but just hang out, go along for the ride, and should be fun. So I'm gonna flip this thing around, let's jump into it. All right, well, we've got the graphics all kind of positioned, sort of, with the space that I have, in the place that they're gonna go on the plastic. This is kind of my first step. I like to figure out where all these pieces belong and get it all laid out so that I know kind of how I want to attack this. I tend to start with the easy stuff just because I've never done a lot of graphics in a row. It's always been at least a few months, if not longer, since I've done a graphics install. I like to kind of refresh my brain, so I'll start with some of the easier pieces, like say the gas tank cover there, and then I'll work on the more complicated stuff, like this front fender. As you can see, it's got a lot of grooves, a lot of things going on here, so we'll jump into that in a bit. But we'll start by doing some of these easy pieces. However, I still have graphics on these plastics, so actually the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the heat gun. You may have seen this method in an earlier video I did, but if not, just take a heat gun and you can get this graphic to become a little more pliable, get that adhesive to kind of release a little bit, and then you just kind of have to work under this edge here. You can peel these up. So the first thing you want to do, just whip out a heat gun, heat up your old graphics, and peel them off. All right, now before you get into this process, the first thing that you're going to need is a few items so that you can do the job right. Now, some people might use more things than this. Some people might use less. At the bare minimum, I really recommend having like this X-Acto knife. It's really super helpful. You'll see why later on in the video. I think it's always good to have some towels. Microfibers work. I like shop towels just because easier cleanup. And then I've got contact cleaner. Don't want to have to use that inside if I don't have to, but it's here. And then we'll use the Goo Gone to make sure that as the old graphics come off, we can get rid of any adhesive there. Then the other thing you're definitely going to want is a heat gun. That's what I've got down here. It's plugged in on the side there, ready to go. So heat gun, contact cleaner, Goo Gone, X-Acto knife, and some towels. To keep things simple, I am just going to show you how to remove the graphics on this piece here. I have these other pieces sitting up here because I'm going to work with those as well. I moved the rest of them away, so I've got plenty of space to work with. And I'm actually not going to film this because I don't think it's really necessary to show you. All you're going to do is you're going to heat this up with a heat gun. Give it 15 to 30 seconds, somewhere in there, of just kind of radiating heat. And then it should peel off pretty easy. If you can't get a fingernail under it, you can always use some kind of other edge as long as it's not too sharp that it'll damage the plastic. But take a heat gun to it, get it peeling up. It should pull right off. If you have any trouble with the adhesive, the first thing that's always easiest to do, you can actually lay the sticker back down and try and pull some of that adhesive up. You can see, like with this sticker that I removed in another video, it didn't actually work super well on this one. I don't know if the adhesive is going to be more like this or more like this, but we'll find out. If that becomes a problem, that's what I have the Goo Gone for, and I also have the contact cleaner for, and we'll see which one I need in order to get the job done. And maybe 30 seconds tops later, got the sticker off, got this all ready to go. Interesting thing about the Yamaha stickers, this is different for certainly the Suzukis and the Hondas that I've done this on in the past. It's actually clear. I didn't realize that. It's a super thin, clear graphic, obviously with some color mixed in to give it the appearance. And it has a really light adhesive that came right off really easily. So it's actually going to make this process really nice. These other ones, looks like they're all the same, So it should go super fast. Now remember at the beginning of this video I said it's not going to be an actual step-by-step tutorial. And here's my proof. I decided I'm going to use this. I didn't include it with the original things I said I was going to be using, but it just feels like something that I should probably do, and that's just take a damp but definitely not dripping wet washcloth, and I'm just going to lightly wipe all these down, get all the dust off, and then I'll just dry it out. Make sure it's all dry, but definitely don't want any kind of dust or dirt or anything like that on these. They're already pretty clean, obviously, but it doesn't hurt to just take it to the extra step. All right, once you've got these totally and completely clean, dry, ready to go, the next thing that I always do, I don't do the soapy water or the Windex or anything like that. I've never really had too much of a trouble with getting them lined up, lifting, peeling, doing whatever I need to do to get it all perfect. But what I do, and I won't be filming this, is I heat these guys up with a heat gun, just get them a little more pliable. They're already at room temperature, so they're not too bad. But you'll get them nice and warmed up. If you live in a sunny area, you can warm them up in the sun. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start lining them up. Now one thing is like this piece here, it actually needs to line up in the middle so that these two go together right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line one side up correctly. Make sure that when you look over here, it's going to follow all these edges the way it's supposed to. And then I'm going to actually spend my time with this side, making sure that the graphic lines up, and then we'll deal with the edges. We obviously want them to line them up pretty close, but they probably won't be perfect. And we know that we can sacrifice a little more down here by the seat, and we can probably even sacrifice a little up here on this inside edge of the gas tank. And we'll also use the heat gun in that situation as we're working the graphic on to make this a little more pliable, make it kind of stretch into the position it needs to be in. You want to be careful with the heat gun. You don't want to get them too hot to where they stretch and start to distort and fade and everything like that. But you just want to make it so that they start to work with you a little more. If you have maybe some hidden areas or some graphics that you don't plan on installing or something like that, you can play with it and get a feel for it. Otherwise, I would say you just want to get it not hot to the point you can't touch it, but just nice and warm. Okay, I just warmed this piece up real quickly, and I don't want to waste any time, but one thing I did want to mention too, I always like to start with what I feel is an important edge and then work from there. So in this case, I really want to make sure that this hole lines up with the hole on the plastic. I don't want that to be all screwed up by the time I get there. So I'm going to start with this end, and then I will work my way back to these less important edges. But this one, we want to make sure this one's right. So always start with what you feel is kind of your most important leading edge. At least that's my advice. Just for a visual reference here as I'm getting my way through this. So I've got this all lined up perfect, and this whole end is stuck down. And then I slowly worked the paper back from there, kind of folded the paper back, and followed the edge right along the edge of the gas tank perfectly. Pressed that down nice and tight, made sure that there were no air bubbles. Got all the way back here. Got this center section done up right. But you notice I'm holding this edge because I haven't gotten any of this edge down. There is a crease that runs down here. Might be a little hard for the camera to pick up, but there's a crease that I'm going to have to work that edge over. So I'm going to carefully work that edge over. And you can see that I've got some overhang down here, and I've got this piece that it lines up okay, but I might actually want to get it hanging over just a little bit here. So I'll use some heat to coax that. And then the rest of this, I shouldn't need any heat just to get it to press over that crease nice and evenly. Again, I'm going to start from up here and work over so that the air doesn't get trapped inside and create those nasty air bubbles that make it ugly. So a nice thing about starting with this piece is it's a fairly flat, easy spot to work with. There's not too much to work around. Luckily, these graphics, they're also super pliable, which makes it easy. You can see I've got this piece on, but I'm not done yet. I have two more things to do. And both of them require using the heat gun some more. So the first is I'm going to heat this edge up. I'm going to get it, again, not too hot, but just warm. And then that will actually allow this to fold over right here. And it's going to fold over and help it really seal and adhere. And it'll keep it really tight and clean looking here. I won't have to worry about dirt getting trapped up or this graphic picking up or anything like that. And then the second thing is I'm just going to heat the entire piece, because now that I've got it on, that heat will actually help activate the adhesive a little bit, and it'll keep it from lifting up later on. It'll keep it really like sucked onto this piece of plastic for a long time. So definitely you want to make sure you hit it with heat after you have it completely installed. That's going to help with the longevity of this piece. Okay, I just got done with the heat gun. I warmed this whole guy up. It's still nice and toasty, but I can touch it. Not a problem there. I don't have any air bubbles. It's funny, you can see where the creases are from like pulling the paper back. But those will work out over time and they won't leave air bubbles behind. It's the graphics still kind of adjusting to its new shape. And then back here, you can see this guy folded over, no problem. It's totally conformed to this edge of the plastic, and this edge is all sealed up, so it's not gonna lift up or catch anything under there. So now we're just gonna repeat that with the other side, and then eventually we'll be doing this and the rest of the plastic that's over there. All right, this piece is on. This one, it got a little bit more tricky right here at the end just because I really wanted this to line up well. And as you can see, I got it to do that. I just had to use a little bit of heat, just be a little patient. I also have to give a huge shout out to YFZ450R Designs, who made these graphics for me. His material is just so pliable, it's so easy to work with. And it actually makes it a lot easier to do this job because you end up having a lot more freedom to kind of move this piece around and not worry about air bubbles and things like that. So material definitely helps, heat definitely helps, and just having a little bit of patience and care. And as you can see, I got this to line up just the way I wanted, and I also got everything to lay down nice and smooth and flat. So I am going to go ahead, I'm going to finish this up, get working on these other pieces, and hopefully get this done pretty quick. The only thing I wanted to add, because I don't want to pause once I get kind of into the rhythm of it, is holes like this are the reason that I have the X-Acto knife. So on these graphics, there isn't a cutout for this, and anytime that your graphic for some reason overhangs, whether it's an imperfection in the graphic template or the plastic itself, or you have a hole like this, this is when you use your X-Acto knife, and you just carefully work your way around this hole, and you can cut out that part of the graphic or cut off an edge or an overhang or something like that. Just use a little bit of heat to patch up that edge once you've cut on it, and you should be good to go. So I'll have to do that here. I'll probably have to do that for the warning labels as well. But anyways, I'm going to jump into this. I'm going to get the whole thing done, and then I'll show you the finished product. Well, 2 hours later, we are done. And it was a really easy install. It's just really time consuming to get it all done right, and to be tedious, make sure that there's no bubbles, cut all the excess off anywhere that it's overhanging and everything like that. So in the end, I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. I mean, it looks really good. The quality of the product itself is really high. And I would definitely recommend YFZ450R Designs to anyone who's in the market for graphics for their bike, quad, or anything else like that. So I will take his info, and I'll put it in the description down below. You can check that out. But other than that, make sure to subscribe, like the video, do all those kinds of things, and stay tuned for more.